Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Is Jaime Jaquez Jr. ready to help the Miami Heat win right now? There have only been 4 rookies this year who have taken home Rookie of the Month honors. Each one has done it twice: Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, Brandon Miller, and, of course, Jaime Jaquez Jr. Jaquez may have been drafted outside of the lottery, but he still emerged as one of the best immediate impacts of his class. On the year, he's averaging 12.8 ppg, 4.0 rpg, and 2.6 APG on 57.9% true shooting, 55th percentile, while playing 29.4 minutes per game on a team with title aspirations. But how is Jaquez already so good? What weaknesses led to him falling in the draft? And, most importantly, can he help the Miami Heat recapture last year's postseason success this season? The Miami Heat are often referred to as the Eastern Conference version of the Golden State Warriors, which is ironic because Jaquez is kind of the East Coast version of fellow 2023 draftee Brandon Podziemski. Like Podziemski, Jaquez is wise beyond his years. He knows when to cut, knows when to pass, knows where to rotate, knows how to attack a closeout, knows how to hoop. The game is as sophisticated as ever. But Jaquez is still already a PhD graduate in the sport. Being intelligent isn't enough to cut it in the NBA, though. A lot of people know how to play the game. Heck, I even trick myself into thinking I'm one of those people from time to time. But there is a difference between the person who knows how to play the game and the one who is actually skilled enough to do it. Jaquez falls under the latter category. He combines his basketball brilliance with pristine footwork and touch from inside the arc. Like many of his peers, he grew up idolizing the legendary Kobe Bryant, leading to him mastering highlight reel sequences like this. Jaquez is already an above-average bucket-getter in the association. As it stands, Jaquez is in the 71st percentile in mid-range efficiency, per dunks and threes, the 72nd percentile in drives efficiency, and the 75th percentile in post-up efficiency, per NBA.com. However, unlike other professional buckets, Jaquez also takes pride in the defensive end of the floor. To withstand the demon trials and become a full-fledged member of Heat culture, players need to be able to defend hard and create turnovers. Jaquez fulfills both of these requirements, as evidenced by the fact that he's in the 72nd percentile in deflections per 36 minutes, an indicator of his motor, and 80th percentile steal rate, an indicator of his defensive playmaking. Scouts couldn't have been this wrong about Jaquez, right? There has to be a reason why Jaquez fell all the way to 18th in the 2023 NBA draft. Once again, draft analysts made the mistake of over-indexing on Jaquez's age. He turned 23 in February. They saw that as a concern for his long-term ceiling and forgot how high his skill level/IQ made his floor. But to be fair, they were on the right trail when it came to the worries about his high-end upside. Jaquez is a gifted scorer, 61st percentile volume and 55th percentile efficiency. But the outlook on his odds of becoming a high-volume scorer are bleak. Jaquez has a below-average handle, 23rd percentile handle turnover percentage, per Thinking Basketball, and first step, which means his bag is limited to tough, no, that's not a typo, mid-range jumpers and crafty finishes around the rim. The guy has a mean hook shot. Inside Nikola Jovic's development into a Miami Heat starter and what comes next. Even though things are good now, Nikola Jovic isn't taking it for granted. Not the guy who started 10 straight games in January, only to play less than a dozen garbage-time minutes in the Miami Heat's next 10. To say it's been an up-and-down season for the second-year forward would be an understatement. It's been closer to a game of tug-of-war, with Jovic being jerked in and out of the rotation depending on who the Heat have available. It was rough, Nikola Jovic told me and my co-host during an interview for the Locked on Heat podcast. When Terry Rozier went down with a knee sprain in a February 11 game against the Boston Celtics, a game Jovic did not play in, Jovic was reinserted into the starting lineup for the team's next game against the Milwaukee Bucks. It's easy to see why coach Erik Spoelstra did this. He trusts his team to play hard enough and himself to pull the right levers to remain a top 10-ish defense no matter the personnel, but he also knows he needs the right players on the court to muster enough offense to win games. So when Tyler Herro sustained a knee injury in New Orleans nearly 2 weeks later and Rozier returned, Spoelstra decided to keep Jovic in the lineup for some offensive juice. At 6'10", Jovic provides a useful combination of size, shooting, and playmaking. He pushes the pace more than any of his teammates, which helps feed Miami's transition offense. This is what the Heat saw when they selected Jovic with the 27th pick in the 2022 draft, but he's been inconsistent for most of his first 2 seasons. When speaking with Jovic about his development, the word that comes up the most is consistent. At the start of the season, I would have a lot of ups and downs, Jovic said. I would play great defensively one game, the second one, I'd be terrible. It was hard for sure for coaches and for me to get that rhythm. And it was on me to somehow find a way to be consistent on a nightly basis. I'm more focused on practices, which is the most important thing, and that's where I get my rhythm. Nikola Jovic. Until Jovic was more reliable on defense and more productive than theoretical on offense, he was going to have a hard time carving out a spot in the Heat's finals-hardened rotation. Over this last month, Jovic appears to have taken a leap. He is in the starting lineup for now. For how long will depend on how quickly he can take the next step. Earlier in the season, Heat coaches tasked Jovic with being a more solid rebounder, holding his own defensively and bulking up. Jovic said he hasn't added much extra weight but transferred more fat into muscle. When Jovic was out of the rotation, he worked with assistant coaches and trainers to smooth the rough edges of his game. It was the progress he made behind the scenes that buoyed his confidence when he wasn't playing. John Wall opened to team up with Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo on Miami Heat. The Miami Heat bulked up their backcourt in the last few months, but injury concerns could make room for one more veteran guard. 5-time All-Star John Wall last played for the Los Angeles Clippers in 2023 but isn't ready to call it a career. He recently appeared on the OG's podcast with former Heat forwards Udonis Haslem and Mike Miller, where he discussed the idea of teaming up with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Would you be open to playing for the Heat with Jimmy, Bam, etc., and being coached by SPO? Miller asked. I talk about that all the time, Wall said. Just feel like I can help them a lot. You know what I mean, like getting Terry Rozier was a great piece for them to like somebody that can make plays and pick and roll for them and stuff, but even if I didn't start coming off the bench, I think I could be another person that can help them and impact them like me and UD talked about this plenty of times, and I work out with Bam a lot. Haslem and Miller seemed thrilled about the idea, adding their positive input throughout Wall's response. The former All-NBA guard averaged 11.4 points and 5.2 assists on 40.8% shooting with the Clippers. He would add an element of off-the-bench explosive scoring to the Heat's offense. Despite the additions of Rozier and veteran Patty Mills, the Heat signing Wall is not fully out of the question. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation, John Wall? Leave your opinion in the comments.